Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 101 of the Great Canadian Hockey Podcast. I'm James Parisi here with my co-host Aiden Sarah, and we are back, man. I'm feeling really good. The last week's episode really jazzed me up, and I feel like I'm off to a decent start for the year. And hockey's feeling kind of exciting right now. I kind of get a little bit of a winter blues when it comes to hockey. It kind of gets lost in the monotony of things, but. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. We're getting closer to the Olympics. People are signing. Drama's coming. Sometimes too much drama. Some we will get into, some we won't. But before we get into a couple things, I just want to thank everyone for all of the quick checks and attention on a recent reel we posted on Instagram and YouTube Shorts. And yeah, it's if you're a new listener who's found us because of that, welcome. Welcome aboard. We'd love to have you. But I should get to my co-host, Aiden Sarah. How are we doing, fella? Looks like you're in Red Deer today.
Yeah, up at Caitlin's apartment. James, you call me out at least once every three episodes on words. So I'm going to get one back and say that monotony is not a widely used enough term. And you would have called me on that. So just pointing it out, I'm not the only one.
I'll take that. I'll take
Yeah.
that.
You want to define monotony for me?
No, 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 I don't.
No, you used it. You used it right.
I could use it in a sentence. I could write it in a sentence, but I'm not defining that for you. It's like tedious stuff, right?
Tedious, repetitive things that you have to
Yeah.
do over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah, like your life is just stuck in a routine. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's a monotonous life,
Hmm.
right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, you got it. You got it.
All right, I'll get my gold star sticker on my forehead. Very good.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with you, James, when you say that hockey's getting exciting, and I say it. I talk about it multiple times every episode. That Olympic year just feels different, and this Olympic year does as well because they I feel like they really compacted the schedule a lot to swing this. Um,
yeah,
and obviously
I think we got three Nathan McKinnon games in 4 days at one point, and he got like 12 points.
um there's that there's that edge that everybody has this year. Do you notice that? I don't know if you watched the last Vegas Golden Knights game, but Mark Stone is playing like a man possessed right now. Like he is doing everything for that Vegas team. And they lost Mitch Marner to a brief injury, and Stone and Hurdle have just stepped up like crazy. And it was watching that Vegas game the other night that I really felt like, oh, everybody I've watched that's playing for a team that's competing for a playoff spot, they want it so bad, James. And usually you don't see that till later in the season. But I think the anticipation of the Olympics for some of these guys is ramping it up early.
100%, man. And it's one of the things we're mostly looking forward to. And I kind of have an axe to grind here before we really dive into things. And it's right on the Olympic topic. First things first, I really, really appreciate all of the in-depth coverage that we've gotten from a lot of the reporters and people in sports media that cover these things. They're doing a fantastic job of doing their jobs, especially Chris Johnston. They've been detailed reports, and not just detailed, but he's not only reporting on the negative things. And that's my biggest point. Everyone is just worrying and complaining and freaking out about, oh, this thing isn't ready. Look at the picture of what the lobby looks like. Look at the picture of what the hockey arena dressing rooms look like. Ah, this is going to be terrible. Why are we going to have it there? Put it somewhere else. Take the hockey from the Olympics in Italy and put it somewhere else. We don't need to have it there. I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. You are not going to just have the hockey, which is probably the main part of the Winter Olympics. Might be biased, but it's like probably the beefiest part when NHL players are there. And you take that and put it in a different country. Like imagine if they took it and they were playing in the hockey in Sweden. Like that's not going to happen. That's stupid. That is
I
absolutely ridiculous. And I'll ask you a question about this here first, but the reason I appreciate Chris Johnson's reporting so much is he's added typically Olympic setup is behind schedule. The arena looked fantastic during the testing. It looked great from outside. The sound was perfect. This was good. It wasn't just the freaking out because when you see all the things that pop up in your algorithm of just people losing their minds about it, it gets just stupid. It makes it so we're approaching such an awesome thing that we've been looking forward to for a decade now, over a decade now, with fear, worry, and disappointment and negativity. So like I will ask you, like, not you, but our listeners, people you talk to, just have some excitement. Be a little optimistic. Tournament's going to be great. It's going to be Olympic hockey. Get off your high horse and have some fun.
Two
Aiden,
things.
are you still worried?
No, I'm not.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, two
That's my
things. Number
test.
one,
That's my
yeah,
test. If you're worried, then everything's going bad.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Um, so first and foremost, I said this a while ago. The International Olympic Committee, like, you don't understand how little they care about what individual sport bodies think. And even if they did, it's the double IHF first. Like, this is not a process like the if NHL and the NHL players were a priority to the IOC, NHL players would be at every single Olympics. There would be no question about that because the power is with the IOC to make those kinds of things happen. It's the NHL that usually come in with demands about the players, demands about even just there was an insurance big thing after John Tavares got hurt in 2014 about who's insured. Like, again, I was 12 years old. I don't remember, but there's always been back and forth, and the NHL has never been the top priority. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It just is how it is. So hockey being moved away from that tournament is never was never in the cards. Never, ever, ever, ever. um, Second thing, I'm a huge soccer fan. I've talked about that massive.
Oh, really?
Um, the World Cup in the United States right now, uh, I'm just comparing the IOC concerns to the World Cup happening in the USA right now concerns, and that's part of the reason I couldn't be any less worried about what's going on in the Olympics because there's the biggest sporting event in the world under an unbelievable threat right now. That's also happening. The conditions of the arena, they're luxury conditions, James. Like it's the fact that, oh, these facilities aren't good enough for NHLers, but the safety is fine. There's no concern beyond, oh, these guys have to play in what they consider a subpar rank. So let's move on from worrying about that. Like, it's going to happen. And I'm like, NHL games have been played in conditions that are more suited for water polo before, right? Like, let's get real. Like, it's not like the NHL hasn't put some games in some unorthodox places here in the past.
100%, man. And it's the kind of thing where I'm not concerned. I ask people not to be concerned. Like I just want to replace the negativity with excitement. I guess that's the gist of what I'm going for here. But we could take things to the NHL. There's a lot to talk about around the league, and I feel like we're due for a catch up around divisions sometime, probably next episode, to see kind of how everything's going, what teams have lived up to expectations, which ones haven't. But I feel like this episode, we're catching more up on drama and chatter. I think that's kind of what our lineup feels like. But let's start things with something more positive. Philip Broberg getting rewarded for a great last few years of development. Aiden, the contract is fantastic for team and player. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, I know why those overpaid shouts are coming in because he hasn't had as good an offensive season this season as he did last year, but that's not on him. That's
No.
because of the role he's playing. That's because of and honestly, that's quite frankly because of what part of his game is getting way better, and that's the defensive side. And honestly, that's part of what the Edmonton Oilers didn't think they had in this guy, especially in the couple years after his draft. That North America transition of Broberg, he really struggled to play defensive hockey for a while there. And this
Yeah.
year, he's looked like a complete other player in his own zone, and the way he's able to play a shutdown role, the way he's able to play in his defensive zone. And even then, he had 29 points in 68 games last year. He's not too far off that pace. He's got 15 and 46, so it's not as if we're talking about a massive decline. It's just his role has changed. If you're looking at the stat line, it maybe looks like a lot, but he's not just that flash and dash um, offensive defenseman he was in his early 20s anymore. So this is I think this is a good investment in a player that can be a strong number three at easily a strong number three for this team for the entirety of his contract, if not higher up in the depth chart.
And you look at the direction of this Blues team and the age he is, the guys developing alongside him. This is the perfect signing to anchor their blue line for years to come. You might see other guys develop along the line. I do think they need to add another piece or two to their blue line to truly be competitive in the future. Definitely, I don't know, maybe a substantial piece. That would be nice. But yeah, I like the signing for team and for player. Where do you want to head next, Aiden?
Do you want to go to Linus Olmark, James?
Do we want to acknowledge this? Are we talking about this?
If we're going to acknowledge it, I think it's acknowledging how goddamn stupid hockey rumors can get. If that's where we're going to go with it, because if this is just made up out of the blue, it's kind of an abhorrent situation, and it reminds me a little bit of when Corey Perry got released from the Blackhawks, and
Oh
it was
God.
it
Oh,
was rumored. It was because there was something going on between him and Connor Bedard's mom, right? Like
right.
this stupid crap just comes out, and the Linus Olmark one was about how he
Wait,
innocuously
Aiden,
apparently.
can I talk about how I found it and what my instant reaction was?
Yes, yes, please do,
So
because I actually don't want to lead this one. You please please
yeah.
go ahead.
So I open Facebook of all things, which is only news and family. Facebook is for old people and your tailored algorithm news. That's what that thing is for, and marketplace, of course. And I open it, and the first thing I see is a screenshot from and it's posted by one of those pages that post like mock trades and stuff like that. That like the person you know who knows nothing about hockey will tell you like, "Oh, I saw this trade rumor on here," and they'll show me, and it's not a rumor; it's a mock trade put together by like some dude in a basement with a huge neck beard and who runs like an account called like Puck Death something. And you know what I mean? Like it's a center for garbage. And this guy posts a screenshot of a tweet, and that's already looking bad because Twitter is or X is just a cesspool of garbage. And it says Linus Allmark is away from the team because he was caught cheating, and while apologizing to his wife, he told her who all of the other players who cheat are and what they've done, and now it's gotten out to the rest of the team, and Brady Kachuk is mad. And then it says at the bottom, it's real, trust me. So that's all you needed to know is that at the end it says that. So I naturally send it to like one of my buddies who I send all of this dumb stuff to. And then he's like, "Well, trust me, bro. It's super real. This is very fact checked." And then he looked at the guy who sent its tweets, and it was just like a bunch of garbage, man. It's a bunch of trash,
And this
and
this got
it,
around though. This
a
got
lot of trash.
around. Yeah, this got around as like almost accepted on social media to the point where the Ottawa Senators had to release a statement specifically about what the rumors were. So yeah, this is how, and you know what, guys, we don't need to take it to this place for very long. This is how garbage just gets into the public consciousness too. Like we've got to start accepting that there is a level of objectivity to a lot of facts, and we can't just we can't just ignore that for what our gut tells us in our opinion. So yeah, I think the abject fact of this situation was that this was conjured out of nowhere. Also, James, don't say Brady Kachuk. He was very, very intent that nicknames are not okay. His legal birth name is Braden Kachuk. He was complaining on his podcast that he doesn't like it when people call him nicknames. So we've got to go with Braden Kachuk now.
Really?
Yeah, that was one of the early gripes he had on his podcast was that he was not happy with people outside of hockey, I think, outside of calling him by nicknames. So we have to use his legal government, Braden Kachuk. I will no longer call him Brady.
Oh, is this like when like 13 years into his NHL career, Zach Parise told everyone finally that his name wasn't Zach Parise, which we had called him and his father for their entire careers, and then he got to Minnesota, he's like, by the way, it's Parise.
No, I don't think that's this situation because that happens where like Connor Sheary had that happen. It was Sherry like 3 years into his career after he like won a Stanley Cup. No, this was I think just the Kachuk brothers yapping garbage on their podcast. Um, and it was just some random thing he threw in as it kind of seemed like like a condescending remark to make about his fans and the people that come up to him after the game. And I
Mm.
don't even know if he was talking about Brady versus Braden, because I think Brady's just the first name he goes by. He might have been talking about something else. But it was it was such a garbage thing to hear the way he said
Is
it
his
that
birth name actually Braden?
yeah, it is actually Braden. Yes.
Hmm. All right. Noted. Moving on here. I mean, I guess before we move on, don't fuel the fire. You don't need to add to it. You don't need to share it. And if you're going to, send it to your group chat. Have a laugh there. You don't give it more air. I don't need to see retweets. I don't need to see reposts. You're not special. Uh, yeah, that's kind of where I stand on that one. But Aiden, you talked about Mark Stone a little bit in the preamble here, and I want to talk about Vegas, and I'd kind of like to ask you why you feel like they've sort of flown under the radar. I feel like them being first in the Pacific right now is the least talked about story in the NHL. And I feel like they've had a lot of great performances from a lot of solid players. They've faced a ton of injuries so far this season, and they're still doing that well. Why are they flying under the radar? Why are we not talking about them?
I think because of the way they started. So right off the hop, they were getting good performances from that trio of forwards, Eichel, Marner, and Stone. But then Mark Stone goes down with an injury, and you're looking at Pavel Dorofeyev, Ivan Barbashev, who are both not playing up to the offensive level that Vegas was hoping they could be. And then even on the back end, you've got Shea Theodore, who was out with a knock. You've got Noah Hannafin, who was out with a knock. And you're looking at this Vegas roster. You're saying, are they really going with Ben Hutton and Zach Whitecloud as the first pair some nights?
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
um, and then when Mark Stone comes back, that I think lit a fire. Um, and I think we're going to start seeing people pay attention to Vegas as they heat up because for a long time at the start of the season, all that you really looked at was, oh, they're playing solid despite some injuries and Jack Eichel's doing Jack Eichel things. Well, Stone's come back. He's got 41 points in 28 games. Marner's at 46 and 44. Eichel's at 48 and 37. And you've got Thomas Hertl, Pavel Dorofeyev, Ivan Barbashev all finally kind of hitting their stride. So it's the secondary scoring, it's the getting healthier that's starting to trend the Vegas Golden Knights upward. And James, a little bit of it is like I said, you don't need to actually be that good to be in a Pacific Division playoff spot this year. I think the division's weak, so them climbing up to the first place in the division kind of happened quietly because they didn't really need to supersede any other juggernauts this season. It's not quite this central.
I think going into the season, they were my Western Conference pick. I don't think I've changed that. And I know I'm an Avalanche fan, and I know the Avs are having a ridiculous season, just insanity. Just less than a handful of regulation losses past the halfway point of the season. But I'm still more scared of Vegas than I am of anyone else right now. So we'll see how that one goes. I feel like Vegas, if anything, this is going to be the year where they would go for smaller ads rather than bigger ones. They're not going to be all over a huge big fish. They already got their Marner in the offseason. But I mean, we've been talking for years about the potential of them adding Rasmus Anderson, and then Petrangelo being out for the season added fuel to the fire. But we still haven't seen anything like that. Even with all the injuries they've faced, and even with that maybe having been the time to do something like that, we haven't seen or heard anything of a move.
Other thing I'll float just while we're on Vegas, because we'll go talk about New Jersey, but I'll get a jump on this and say I think Dougie Hamilton would be perfect as well.
Yeah.
Shea Theodore and Noah Hannafin both have the ability to switch their roles. Neither of them need to be the power play quarterback. Neither of them need to be the offensive guy. Both Theodore and Hannafin have the ability to slot in with Hamilton, even if Hamilton's going to play a very aggressive offensive game. To me, then Theodore, Hamilton, Hannafin, Whitecloud looks better than again needing to have Ben Hutton in that top four. You have Caden Korzak then as well. And suddenly the defensive depth from this Vegas Golden Knights team, even if Braden McNabb continues to stay out, it suddenly looks a lot better on the back end. And I've talked about this a lot. If you're able to take some workload off of your best defenseman, the way I was kind of talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning looking to do down the line, keeping Darren Radish and some of Victor Hedman's roles, you can have Hamilton take on some of those special teams minutes and keep Theodore and Hannafin fresh. To me, that's a great pickup. I know it's an older Vegas Golden Knights team already, but um, go for it, right? Like this is a roster that, like you said, I don't think it takes a lot this year to get out of that Pacific. There's good teams, but you're not going through a Dallas, you're not going through a Colorado.
Aiden, while we're on it, let's talk Dougie Hamilton. There's been a lot of drama surrounding the towering defenseman in New Jersey, and I mean, he makes a lot of money and he hasn't played well, and the team is playing quite bad, and they're looking for a scapegoat. So they've found theirs, and Dougie Hamilton sitting in the press box, a couple healthy scratches in a row, and it's gotten out into the media quite a bit that he rejected a couple trades, at least one of them to the San Jose Sharks, and it's turning into a big pit of drama, and I mean the theme in the past couple of years has been even if you have a no move clause, you're not really safe because management and everyone can kind of just take it out into the media sphere. So I mean I don't think a Dougie Hamilton move is just going to materialize overnight. I guarantee that's probably the Devils' number one priority right now. I don't see them shooting GMs or coaches into the atmosphere right now. So I think it's going to be the kind of thing where a Hamilton move will happen within the next couple weeks. Other than Vegas, where do you think is a spot he could end up? And I mean, he has a 10-team trade approved list, but so far nothing there.
No, I think there was indication. I read there was indication that that 10 team list wasn't the entire list of teams he'd accept a trade to, that there would definitely be some others as well. The Detroit Red Wings are quietly first in the Atlantic Division. I just want to point that out as well. We're talking about quiet division leaders. It was Montreal, and this Atlantic Division's been wide open all
Did
year
I
already.
not have Detroit in the playoffs and doing well this year?
Yeah, you had them taking the step
Yeah, I
into the
had them last
playoffs. Yeah,
year. I had them last year too, but that
yeah,
was early.
yeah. This year's your better bet. Um, well, James, the other thing is how desperate are the New Jersey Devils to shake the contract, right? Like you're maybe going to start looking at teams where the question becomes, okay, can you take $9 million, and that just complicates things further. Like I'm looking at Vegas as a team where I'm saying, yeah, you could use him. You could use him on your roster. Can you fit him in? Is the question. I think Utah's a good idea, James, because I'm losing some faith in John Marino and Sean Dursey in providing offensive help to Mikhail Sergachev. Like there's a lot of good defensemen on that Utah team, but there's not a lot of guys where I'm like, you're the offensive driver. You're going to play on the power play. Dougie Hamilton is 10 points in 45 games, so I know I'm giving a lot of credence to a 32-year-old on the decline here. Um,
Who also hasn't gotten a lot of power play time this year,
yeah, that's the thing. Like they've really been pumping the minutes into Luke Hughes and Simon
which hasn't
Nemec's
worked out
hands.
either.
No, and neither of them are playing. Like Nemec is impressed me more than Luke Hughes, but Hughes is had another season where you're just kind of waiting for him to live
I
up
think
to what he's
Brendan
supposed to
Dillon's the
be.
best defenseman on that team right now.
Yeah, well, and they don't have Siegenthaler either. The Siegenthaler's been hurt for a big chunk of this season. Um, I wonder about I wonder about what teams down the standings would Hamilton accept a trade to. I think that's actually the biggest question. Is he doesn't want to go to a San Jose. Is there a team that has cap space that's a little bit more on the upswing that that might take him on? Other thing, there's some other contracts out there. I always like to look for, okay, well, where does this swap come in? Where's the big contract for big contract James Neal for Milan Lucic flip that can work out for one of these teams. So I actually think the options are everywhere, just depending on who's willing to take on his contract and if there's somebody willing to take it on without New Jersey needing to give up assets.
If I'm taking Dougie Hamilton, you're giving me Seamus Casey. Sorry,
It's
that's how
not.
I feel.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
There's
it
other.
costs it cost the Toronto Maple Leafs the first round pick used for Seth Jarvis to get out from under a year of Patrick Marleau.
I remember that. Yeah, that was Kyle Dubas. Seamus Casey's a good defenseman. That's not something new or anybody should be balking at. If Vancouver were offered Dougie Hamilton and Seamus Casey, I'd take that running. But I'm guaranteeing you that Dougie Hamilton would have that veto and use it on Vancouver because
Oh yeah,
why wouldn't you?
100%.
Why
There is
would you go
no
there?
way a defenseman who struggles in his own end, who's good on the power play most of the time and makes a ton of money but underperforms most of the time at this point in his career, is going to accept a trade to the media circus that is the city I live in.
And not
Not a
to mention
chance.
the black hole of death that the team also is.
Yeah. We're not going to go down that hole, but yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with it. And I mean, while you're looking at that, there are a lot of New Jersey Devils players underperforming, so don't be surprised if he's the only player that moves. This team needs a shakeup. We could see more shake. So, Aiden, while we're talking trade, you sent me a text before we started recording, and I imagine you heard it on Elliot Friedman's 32 Thoughts. And apparently, he said Artemi Panarin could be a fit for the Colorado Avalanche. Do you want to tell me a little bit about what happened there?
Yeah, the I think the speculation comes from the New York Rangers bottoming out here. They lost 9-0 to the Boston Bruins the other day. They've got Igor Shesterkin on IR, and every time Igor Shesterkin goes down for the New York Rangers, it just becomes all the more obvious how crucial he is for them. They are not getting the defensive help they need to be getting in Adam Fox's absence at all. Gavrikov is not that guy. Braden Schneider, they've been holding and hoping he can be that guy, but it's getting to the point where you might just have to accept that Schneider's not really a top four defenseman, and deploying him as such is just giving him a workload he can't handle. You didn't get the step from Will Cooley you really, really wanted this year. Alexi Lafreniere has not maintained the form that he saw a couple of years ago. They've missed Vincent Trocheck for significant time. And to me, they're a team that you want to get the best you can. Like, there's no reason not to trade Artemi Panarin. You can retain 50% of his salary and with absolutely no worry because he's done at the end of the year. There's not a problem in retaining the cap space. And $11.6 million for Panarin, you cut that in half. James, I'm a team looking at that and love
5.8 sounds pretty sweet, man.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And for the for the Avalanche, James, the Panarin McKinnon idea should just excite everybody. This is a 34-year-old who his game has kind of stepped back from the play driver, but man, he sits on that periphery. Nikita Kucherov gets a lot of credit for how good he is at passing the puck. Panarin gets credit for how good he is as a player, obviously, but his playmaking ability would stand out like crazy playing on a line with McKinnon and Natchez, or McKinnon and whoever they want, if it's Arturi Lehkonen or Nichushkin.
When was the last time you saw a forward line that was three righties? I was just thinking about that. Maybe Boston, maybe like a Tyler Seguin on the wing of a Krejci line at some point.
Yeah, but don't forget how short that Sagan in Boston stint was. It was only two or three full seasons, I think,
Yep. Oh yeah.
of Sagan being there.
Was
Um,
Nathan Horton a righty?
yeah, he was that.
Okay.
You might have it there, Sagan.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think Horton played with
Oh,
Krejci. And the
yeah,
Bergeron
Horton did.
here too. Like,
Yeah, Bergeron. Mark Recchi was on a Tyler Sagan team. He was a right hand shot.
Mark Recchi was a righty?
Yeah,
No. You're yanking my chain here, man.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
You're
no.
right. He was left-handed. I only watched him for that one season.
I was about to say, like, I remember Mark Recchi. You remember
Yeah,
like 5 minutes of Mark Recchi. You remember,
exactly.
yeah. You remember
Yeah,
watching him retire after hoisting the cup. That's what you
yeah.
remember.
Yeah, that's exactly what I remember.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But yeah, three righties on the line, especially with like the right-handed defenseman being on the blue line as well. Like that's it's interesting. So that would be like Nelson, Natchez, Makar, McKinnon, Panarin power play.
Hmm.
That's nuts. But
It
that's also
is.
four righties.
Yeah, Panarin is a pure left winger. That's part of the. I know what you're talking about in the handedness
Yeah.
way, but Panarin's been a left winger for the entirety of his career.
Yeah.
So, and you know what? So is Arturi Lehkonen, but Valeri Nichushkin's been a left-handed right winger for most of his career as well.
Indeed. Indeed. I don't know. It would be an awesome fit. I mean, you and I were chatting before we hit record, and there was talk and an offer made when Panarin was a free agent before he signed with the Rangers about him going to Colorado on a shorter term deal and a heftier price tag. And I know it directly lined up with Makar and McKinnon's deals to make sure it didn't interfere with anything because I believe they had just signed Landeskog and Nichushkin to their big extensions. So yeah, it's interesting to think about. Very interesting. Actually, it was before they signed Landeskog and Nichushkin to the big extensions. This would be the summer before they won the cup, after McKinnon's famous presser, where he was saying I hadn't won anything.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. All right. Well, very interesting. I'd love to see Panarin get traded. That's an exciting trade. That's like the rental trade that you look forward to that used to always happen back in the day. The top end rental trades, they don't happen as much anymore. I truly miss those. Like used to see like Andrew Ladd traded from the Jets to the Hawks at the deadline. And yeah, obviously it didn't work out, but that was a big exciting deal. I remember was Patrick Sharp to the Stars? Was that a deadline deal? I think
I
it
don't
was.
think so. I don't
No,
think
that was
so.
off season.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
will
I don't
never.
know.
I will never, ever, ever not think of Brian Miller to St. Louis when we talk about
Yeah.
high gamble rentals.
Oh yeah, it's exciting, man. And
Yeah,
you know, the team that pays that price, they often don't win. I remember Colorado going all in on Michael Bodker and then missing playoffs, and it was
and then
super exciting.
and then there's Marion Gaborik.
And then there's Marion Gaborik.
Yeah, 2014 Kings do not win the Stanley Cup without Marion Gaborik, and he extended after that, but the trade was obviously without that established. Like he didn't sign the extension when he got traded there. He won the Stanley Cup and then signed the extension.
I want to say, and I could be wrong, but I want to say in 2008, when Pittsburgh went to the finals and lost, Marian Hossa was a deadline pickup for
Yeah,
them
you're right. You're right.
from Atlanta. They sent Colby Armstrong and some other stuff the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. Imagine that pickup. Imagine being in that locker room and it's like, oh my God, we just got Hossa.
Yeah. And then
Nuts.
not win.
Yeah. And
And
then
then
win the
beat
next year.
and then beat him in the final next year. That was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. And then Hossa goes and wins in with the third team in three straight finals with Chicago.
And then he wins three.
Yeah. Love it. What a
We
story.
we talked about the New Jersey Devils. Winnipeg. What, where, why, what's going on with the Jets? Like what's going on with the Jets is they suck. I don't know what to do now if I'm Winnipeg because you've got players that are too good right now that aren't going to get moved to bottom out. Their record suggests they should, but I don't think that's in the cards. So if you're Winnipeg, what do you do this season? And maybe more specifically, what don't you do?
Well, they called up center Danny Zhilkin.
I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make.
No. Well, their offseason included two signings, two additions to their team. You know what those were? Jonathan Taves and Gustav Nyquist. Jonathan Taves, I believe, has 2 goals, and
Oh, he's
Gustav
up to five. Come on.
he has five. Oh, he
He's
has
got
five
five
now.
now. Yeah.
Okay, well, Nyquist has 0,
Yeah, you're right about that.
and they lost Nikolai Ehlers, and their players are getting older and worse. And to top it off, you have an over reliance on offense from 3 guys and your blue line. And Josh Morrissey can't do it all from back there. Neil Pionk had an anomaly year last year. It's just it's not all lining up right. So you get all of that, and it's a perfect storm of turd that results in Connor Hellebuck losing over and over again, and now his performance is really dipping. Now he's in. Is
Yeah.
he now?
He's dealt with something to the
Yeah.
tune of at least Eric Comrie playing 17 games, which was unheard of for this Jets team previous to Hellebuck wasn't taking on such a massive load. Don't forget goaltenders that play consecutive seasons with huge workloads do not last season over season. We saw this when Edmonton had the crazy over
Did you hear
reliance
what you
on
just
Cam
said?
Talbot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
How can you acknowledge that any further?
Edmonton had the crazy over reliance on Cam Talbot, and he just fell apart as a starter. So if you're Winnipeg, obviously you don't want to be putting that much workload on Connor Hellebuck in terms of allowing as many high danger chances as they do. Um, Josh Morrissey had a really slow start to the year, but he's completely turned it around. But you're right that it's Josh Morrissey, and then it's that one Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, Gabe Vilardi line. 37-year-old Jonathan Taves is a great story. I loved the signing. He's
Me too.
childhood favorite. Expecting him to step in after what 3 seasons away and be the second line center just like that, not going to
No,
happen.
dude, it's Nemesnikov.
Yeah,
No,
well, and that's the thing.
he's
Like
so
every other
good,
option,
right?
Adam Lowry, Vladislav Nemesnikov, and even I was hoping Cole Perfetti could eventually take the
Oh,
step
he
into being.
blows, dude.
Oh, he is not playing good hockey this season, and it's a contract year for him. So I do wonder
Aiden,
if a
Aiden,
split is coming.
did I say to you on this podcast or just in conversation with you that I have zero faith in Cole Perfetti?
I think I've heard you say it. I'm positive I've heard you say it.
Yeah. And it's not a knock on him as a person. I don't know him. I'm sure he's a great guy. And like I I think a situation change would be great. I'd love to see him play somewhere else. But I mean, it's just it to me it's not working out. It's one of those things where you beat a horse long enough, it's dead, man.
Yeah, and they'd obviously be hoping that those prospects were looking a little bit better. Like they took the gamble. To me, it was a gamble on a few players. They took the gamble on Brad Lambert in the
I
draft. They
knew you
took
were
a
gonna go there
gamble.
first.
They took a gamble on Colby Barlow in the draft, and then they took a gamble in the Braden Yager for Rucker McGroarty trade. If you look down the Manitoba Moose, none of them are playing at a level that should suggest they're going to be ready to come into the NHL and make the impact that Winnipeg needs them to make. Lambert has been on a downslide. His first season in the American Hockey League was fantastic, and he just like he got the pass that year because he was a rookie, but then the next year, he hadn't rounded out his game from just being an offensive play driver. And it was kind of like watching some of those Team Canada World Junior players where Lambert goes into the zone thinking he's going to score on every rush. When he doesn't, he just kind of switches off and he gets complacent. And he hasn't been able to mature out of that problem. Manitoba is cutting his minutes like crazy. He's not scoring in the AHL anymore. And then you look over at Braden Yager, who's only got 4 goals in the season. You look at Colby Barlow, who was a first round pick 2 years ago. And in the AHL, he's, I think, got 3 goals and 7 points in 30 games. Barlow was
Caleb's cousin.
yeah, he was a really good story coming out of junior where he scored a lot of goals and he was like an Owen Sound attack, almost a team legend for that OHL team. He did so much for them. But the transition to North America, it's almost like this guy who I thought his best asset was his size and his strength. He's just not keeping up in that department in the A. He's only 20 years old. Him and Jagger, I still believe, are NHLers, but it's not what Winnipeg needs out of the prospects right now. And you have to ask yourself, James, who's the last Jets prospect to step up and make a massive impact on this team. It's been a little while.
Cole Perfetti.
2.5 minutes after you saying you have no faith in Cole Perfetti, right?
Well, I think
Like,
that's the last prospect that's made an impact on this team.
yeah, yeah, and the one before might be Patrick Lyon.
Um, no, you're missing one.
Who am I missing?
Um, it's gonna come back to me. Just you
Okay,
wait. Yeah,
pin it.
it's not gonna be relevant anymore, but it's gonna come back to me.
No, we'll address it. Other trade you rumor. What do you feel about Jesperi Kotkaniemi as a hockey player, James?
I think I think he's you ever talk to people who really like football and they talk about how like a certain quarterback is a really good system quarterback, but like he works well in this system, but like don't go throw him on another team and without that system and expect him to sling bombs.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, Jesperi Kotkaniemi is a great system center. He's very
Yeah,
smart. He
yeah.
knows where to be, he knows what to do. Now, creativity outside of that system for a guy drafted as high in the first round as he was, sickeningly low. Like there's nothing else happening there. Like you see when he's playing, like little like popping the puck out like from a guy he's forechecking against and like making a pass to someone there. Like the intelligence is there and the potential's always been there, but dude, I don't think he was worth the offer sheet.
No,
Like wasn't it the first and a third that they had to
it,
give
no,
to
it 1, 2, 3.
you?
Yeah.
Gross. What was picked with those draft picks?
Well, Montreal flipped the first, I think, for Christian Dvorak, which
Oh
obviously
yeah.
was ill-advised. Um, Specifically with Kokiniemi, I just need to point out that this screams Minnesota, doesn't it?
I think this screams any of the 26 teams looking for a center right now.
Yeah, and Minnesota have Joel Eriksson Ek out. They just traded Marco Rossi without getting a center back. Right now, James, on daily faceoff, the centerman they've got rolling, Danila Yurov, who I am shocked is playing center in his first NHL season. I'm impressed by it. Ryan Hartman, who's not having the season of Ryan Hartman a couple of years ago, where he was pretty consistently good for 20 goals. I think he had a 30-goal season in there too. Nico Sturm, useful bottom six forward, and Ben Jones. Okay.
Yeah. Who I still don't know who he is.
If you add Joel Eriksson Ek to this, you still need another guy. Now, I actually do think that the way Kirill Kaprizov, Marcus Johansson, and Matt Boldy are playing, the need to get an offensive center, if they can, they should. If they can't, Joel Eriksson Ek thrives so much on this team. I look at Jesperi Kokaniemi and I see a guy who can play the game very similar to Eriksson Ek. He's obviously significantly lower level at that, but I think Eriksson Ek's a player that helps Kokaniemi reach the level that we've seen him play at his best.
Aiden, that is not the pick that they flipped. They flipped a different one. And it was a first and a third. It was they used that first and a third, the third rounder on defenseman Adam Engstrom,
Okay.
the first rounder on Philip Mazar.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, it was the Philip Beested pick was flipped for Dvorak.
Yeah. So they would have picked twice in a row, but they did not.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, that's fun.
Yeah, Montreal, it's a good blueprint, quite frankly, going
Philip
from a
Mazar,
Stanley.
good.
Uh, I was more talking about the way they've prioritized turning around and the impressive nature of their turnaround. They're obviously playing so well. Philip Mazar, I'm hopefully he can be like an
No, no.
Oliver Kapanen kind of guy. Was my thinking like if he acclimates a little bit better in North America, he can come in and be a bottom six forward with a touch. Um,
Everything you said about Brad Lambert's stats, I'm now seeing about Philip Mazar's stats.
Yeah, yeah, I have a little bit more faith in Mazar to like figure out how to play a two-way game than Lambert, but that's it.
Aiden, I mean, Kokaniemi, I feel like you're probably gonna get like a second round pick back for him. Maybe a
Yeah.
second round pick and then like a reclamation project prospect. You know, like a guy who is probably like 23 and has not worked out so far, but like throw him on a different team back in the deal just as the contract. You know,
Are
like
you specifically talking about David Juracek right now? Because that completely fits the description of what you're talking about, especially if it's Minnesota, right?
no, and I don't think Bill Guerin's going to admit defeat on that one just yet.
Yeah. Oh, you know me and that guy. Yeah, I think he's got the tools. It's can he execute them at this level?
I know a lot of guys with tools. Most of them don't have a toolbox though.
Adam Juracek looked very good in the World Juniors.
Yeah, so did his brother.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I know.
Have I turned into the pessimist of the podcast?
I don't think in terms of hockey, I think I've always been a little bit more optimistic. But we talk about anything but hockey, and that's going to flip on a dime.
Now we've
Hmm.
just got a sudden pretty breaking news update. The Columbus Blue Jackets in the middle of a pretty disappointing season. They just from the horse's mouth, they've said on all of their social media, they've relieved head coach Dean Evison and assistant coach Steve McCarthy of their coaching duties, and they've hired one of my all-time favorite coaches, Rick Bowness. Aiden, what do you think about this one? I think Bonus is he's a real players coach. I don't know if you'll remember, but when the Stars lost that one game in the finals, he walked in the room and all of the players were devastated, and he pulled up a chair and sat down and said, "Guys, what could I have done better?" And I think that kind of accountability and people first approach might just be exactly what they need with this young group right now. You're looking for steps from Adam Fantilli. You're looking for a little bit of a return to form to the Kent Johnson we saw last year, and Denton Mateychuk coming in, and it's just there's a lot of guys that are either in the midst of taking that next step or need to find some footing. So I think this is right thing, right time, and Aiden, this might just be the start of the coaching carousel in the NHL. We might start seeing heads fly pretty soon here. But let's get back to it.
Yeah, I will quickly chime in that this hopefully is exactly what you said, the spark underneath Kent Johnson, because the season he had last year indicated a guy who could have even maybe he had 57 points in 68 games, man. Like it wouldn't have been a stretch to think a logical step forward in a full season was kissing the 30 goal and at least 60-point mark, right? Like this was a guy who had the potential from the outset to be that player. So Rick Bowness, yeah, you said it, really a player friendly coach in the Bruce Boudreau category, where Columbus isn't focusing on winning, so he can just focus on getting the best out of these players rather than just trying to focus on it being a team that's going to win a playoff series. So I think those kinds of those young guys are going to thrive under him. And that's not to say that a lot of them aren't already. Dmitry Voronkov and Adam Fantilli aren't having the season, especially Fantilli, not having the seasons of a breakout star that we maybe have expected. But Fantilli still had a solid year under Evison. I would not be surprised at all if you actually start seeing him really heat up now as well.
Now, Aiden, I'm going to shift gears here because I feel like there's a lot of players we need to shine a light on, and not just shine a light, but we need to start talking about them in, let's say, an elevated light. Hart Trophy is awarded to the player who is most valuable to his team's success. And we've had a hell of a lot of guys like that this season to the point where I don't know if voters are going to know where to go with it. I wonder if it's going to be one of those kind of, voter decides this guy's due kind of years. But a lot of guys have sort of had their year already. And I mean, when you talk about names, you could talk about the year Nathan McKinnon's had. You could talk about Connor McDavid having a slower start, but shooting up into the stratosphere and having one of the craziest 25 game stretches you've seen out of him. You could talk about what Matthew Schaefer has done to the success of the New York Islanders on vibes alone, let alone his performance. But you could talk about the last month or two for Nikita Kucherov. But Aiden, I feel like the most compelling case has to be Macklin Celebrini. You look at him having more than double the points of the next highest point scorer on the San Jose Sharks. You look at what this man has done at age 19. where he'll be 19 for the entire season, and he's going to put up numbers that only Gretzky and Crosby have put up in an age 19 season. Aiden, I just saw the poll that the NHL put up, and I believe
Mhm.
that's done by hockey writers. And McKinnon leads the way by not a massive margin, but not a small one either. Like it was a sizable jump on Connor McDavid, and I believe they had Celebrini in third or fourth.
So right now, the San Jose Sharks are third in the Pacific. They're 2 points back of the Edmonton Oilers. They have 49 points. In that Pacific Division, the Seattle Kraken and Los Angeles Kings are right on their heel with 48 points each. And then the Utah Mammoth has 48. Nashville has 46 as we go down the list. Anaheim and Chicago within striking distance as well. So that clump of teams in the middle of the Western Conference, actually, to me, if the play of these players continues the way they've been trending, um, it's two players to me. If the San Jose Sharks make the playoffs, I think Macklin Celebrini is your slam dunk Hart Trophy winner. I will not change that opinion unless something crazy happens and Leo Carlson doubles his point production and drags Anaheim kicking and screaming into the playoffs. And even then, that Ducks team is stronger than this Sharks team. What Macklin Celebrini's done is way more than, for instance, Taylor Hall doing for New Jersey. Tyler Toffoli's got 32 points. Alexander Vedberg's got 32 points. That's next. He's lost his line mate, Will Smith. Will Smith's only played 30 games this year, something close to that. The defense, Dmitry Orlov at 34 and John Klingberg at 33 are backstopping this defense. This is a team that was not supposed to be good this year. Yaroslav Askarov has got hot, got cold, got hot, got cold on and off this season. But without Macklin Celebrini, this San Jose team's record looks a lot more like Vancouver's. Um, you take Nathan McKinnon off the Abs, they're not in first with four regulation losses, but they're well in a playoff spot
You take
to
Nathan
me.
McKinnon off the Avalanche, Brock Nelson is their first line center.
Yeah, I know. Well, Marty Natchez can play center, man. Like, so,
Uh,
well,
that was
we
not
could,
good.
yeah, it's Natchez, Nelson, and Colton to me if McKinnon gets hurt. But whatever, we're splitting hairs. Natchez has 55 points, Makar has 51. McKinnon is the best player in the NHL this season. I
Yeah.
kind of wish. Well, to me, that's the Ted Lindsay. It's the
Yeah.
most outstanding player as voted by the NHLPA. So if I'm personally saying most outstanding, it's Nathan McKinnon. If I'm saying most valuable to their team, provided the Sharks make the playoffs, it's Macklin Celebrini because the word success is in there. If San Jose doesn't make the playoffs, I don't think you can measure that as a successful season for Macklin Celebrini. He definitely contributed a lot to their success, but is it success if you miss the playoffs? To me, there's no difference between finishing 18th and missing the playoffs and finishing 30th and missing the playoffs. You just get a worse draft pick. So if San Jose makes the playoffs, it's Celebrini. If they don't, it's McKinnon, and that's with all respect to Connor McDavid, who has also been an absolute monster this year. He's in third for me.
Kucherov right in the mix as well. Can't forget
Yeah,
him.
no, especially with Braden Point's season. I don't, I don't want to be too down on a player I quite frankly have loved since day one, but Point has not
Point
been Point.
dealing with a personal thing, according to sources.
Yeah, Brandon Hagel had a really, really slow start to the season as well. It's really been Kucherov and Gensel as their most consistent players, and Tampa Bay James has quietly managed to work their way into second in the Atlantic. They've got a plus 39 goal differential. Only the Colorado
Without Hedman
Avalanche.
and McDonough.
Pardon?
Without Hedman and McDonough.
Yeah, exactly. And only Colorado have bettered that this season. It's second best in the NHL.
Is it Colorado's like plus 50 something?
It's plus 80, buddy.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
it's
Oh yeah.
crazy. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Colorado, they're the only team in the NHL to let in less than 100 goals too. It's yeah, Colorado's numbers are something else.
The lumberyard, man. I'm telling you, if Canada doesn't win a gold medal, it's because they didn't bring Scott Wedgwood and Mackenzie Black. You should have leave all three of those goalies at home, bring the lumberyard with you. Why not? Caden, there's a player I need to ask you about, and you're exactly the person I want telling our listeners about him. There's been a lot of talk about Tynan Lawrence, who is just headed to BU to play for the Terriers, and he was in the USHL for, I believe, Muskegon. Was it Muskegon?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes, captain.
Muskegon Lumberjacks, and this is a guy who was ranked in the top five of this year's NHL draft, and now people are talking about him as a potential number one. Aiden, what is the hype? What kind of player is this, and why are people talking about him in this light?
Okay, we got to calm down on first overall, big time.
Because right now
He's
we're talking about any of the top five being first overall right now.
Yeah, we're very comfortably, I think, in a situation where one and two are decided unless somebody's coming in and drafting for position. McKenna and Stemberg are by far, bar none, the best players in this draft. We were just talking about Panarin, James. That's the thing, though. Gavin McKenna looks to me like an Artemi Panarin. Tynan Lawrence could be a lot more of a Braden Point. So that's where you're balancing this. Okay, well, what does a team want more, the outstanding winger or the reliable center who can have his share of offensive outbursts? So Tynan Lawrence, yeah, playing for Muskegon. You watch this guy play for the Lumberjacks in the USHL. My favorite part of his game is like he's smoothly buzzing around the ice the entire time. He's never not there. He's in offensive. He's in offensive possession. He drives into the zone, carries the play in. Zone entries, almost effortless zone entries and exits from this guy. He's an the transition plays unbelievable, truly, James, of Tynan Lawrence. The way he can take the puck from south to north and not just from his own zone, but anywhere on the ice. He his hockey IQ's phenomenal. Um, he can sometimes look a little bit passive in his own zone, but the second he gets the puck, he's out. He's out. He's away with it. Um, the biggest test for Tynan Lawrence comes now. I would not have picked him in the top three whatsoever coming out of the USHL. Not at all. He's going to play in the U18s. So we have the Boston University move to the NCAA before that. He joins BU from Muskegon, and honestly, James, like this was the team that Macklin Celebrini had his draft year at. This is the team. This is the league that Adam Fantilli had his draft year at. Both of those players coming out of the USHL. So Tynan Lawrence, I know it's only half a season, but the difference between him going in the top three and going closer to the bottom of the top 10 is how does he play at Boston University? Because that is the high level hockey he needs to be performing at. Number two, those U18s, man. Those U18s, maybe more than they should, have an influence on those NHL GMs. And at 17 years old, he's a slam dunk to be one of Canada's leaders of that tournament, especially given the fact that he's in the NCAA. A lot of times, what happens on Canada's U18 teams is the best draft eligible guys are still playing in the CHL playoffs because the calendar doesn't line up. Well, Tynan Lawrence, we know, is not going to be playing in the CHL playoffs. NCAA season is going to wrap up before that. So not only is he going to be on that team by virtue of him being one of the best Canadian players available, but he's going to probably have a massive role because you're going to, without a doubt, see some guys that would have been there still stuck in the CHL playoffs. Happens every year.
Stacked BU team he's going to play for as well.
Yeah,
Stacked.
Sasha Boisvert and Cole Hudson,
Ryder
Cole
Ritchie.
Iserman. Yeah, Ryder Ritchie, I have a little bit less faith in, but the top end of this team looks incredible, and hopefully he can slot in and pick up some chemistry with with some of these guys. That includes Cole Hudson on the back end, who uh, looks like the second coming of his brother without too much without too much room for debate.
Yeah, 100%, man. Well, I mean, where do you think he goes in the draft when it's all said and done?
Again, it's position. I think he's one of the top five most outstanding players in this draft. Top five in terms of skill right now. That could fluctuate for me. Again, like I said, it's how does he play against NCAA
Right now, where do
competition?
you think he goes when it's all said and done?
Right now, I think he's four.
There you go. That's
Yeah,
exactly what I was looking for. All
yeah.
right, Aiden, it's time for our fantasy gamblers roundup because you need to know when to hold them, you need to know when to fold them, and you need to know when to walk away. There's a lot of guys I'm looking at right now, and especially once you hit the halfway point of the season, we're seeing players drop like flies with injuries. Every day there's another guy landing on IR, another guy coming off of IR, and some players take advantage, some don't. But the theme I'm going with right now is underachievers, and one underachiever who is frequently among the best players in fantasy hockey is Jesper Bratt. Jesper Bratt right now is performing at about 70% of the clip he normally does in fantasy. He is a mild category filler with an emphasis on special teams and a play driver who you can pretty much always rely on having uh, points coming to you from forecheck, from shots on goal, and from the power play. And that, especially with the players he's deployed with, you're depending on quite a bit. Typically, Jesper Bratt is among the second or third best players on someone's fantasy team if they have a pretty solid team. Right now, looking at our league, Jesper Bratt is the seventh most productive player on our buddy Colton's team. And I've been dipping and dabbling trying to send offers for this underperformer, but I mean, if the GM in your league that has Jesper Bratt is less, I don't know, in the know with what he has, start sending flyers at him, man. Send your overachievers towards that person, especially if you're in a keeper league. Jesper Bratt is a guy you want to get your hands on. Buy low and hold long term. This is a very useful piece. I had him at one point. I very stupidly traded him. Don't mix tequila and fantasy hockey trades. Doesn't usually go well. I have a bad history with that one. Aiden has definitely taken full advantage of my inebriation for a trade before. So. Yeah, I mean, hey, if that's a way you can get a good player, fly at her. Yeah,
Oh,
you gotta love it, man. But I mean, that's something that this is a trend that can continue as well with this team. We're talking underperformers, we're talking New Jersey Devils as well. Aiden possesses one Luke Hughes in our fantasy league. This is a guy who you're kind of taking a chance on at this point. Like I am significantly less confident than I was a calendar year ago. But I mean, if you're able to go in and buy a Luke Hughes from someone who's trying to take a shot at the standings and doesn't have the patience that you have, get in there, make the play, do what you got to do. Um, Jack Hughes, for my last one here, I'm going to tell you hold him if you have him, but don't approach him the same way you would a Brat or a Luke Hughes that I just mentioned. Jack is underperforming 100%. Came back from injury that's already lowered his value, and he's fairly injury prone. So typically, among major difference makers in the NHL, he doesn't have the same value in fantasy leagues as other guys, but um, he's a prime candidate for being overvalued just because of his name. And I don't really think he's worth trading another superstar for. I'm gonna say stay away from this one. The laundry list of injuries. It's something that'll continue. I typically bring three players for you. I'm going to say double up and repeat everything I said for Matthew Tkachuk as well. He's coming back from injury. The laundry list is huge. I wouldn't go near him with a 10-foot pole. Power forwards are fantastic in banger leagues, which is what we're always talking about, where you count hits, blocks, penalty minutes, shots, the whole shebang. I don't see a world where you should be trading your best player for Matthew Tkachuk. It's not worth it. Aiden, do you have anyone for me this week?
yeah. I would be a Alex DeBrincat seller if I owned him right now.
Interesting.
Those statistics look really good. 25, 26 season, 46 games, 23 goals, 46 points, point per game exactly, half a goal per game exactly. But he had an excellent game on the 10th of January against the Montreal Canadiens. Had a goal, 2 assists, 3 points. Wonderful. Detroit won 4-0. However, in the 11 games prior to that, all DeBrincat had managed was 2 goals and 4 points. So to me, this is a guy that is always, always, always hot and cold and hot again. And when he's cold, he is cold. And he does not do a lot other than your power play points. Like even his shots, he gets a two or three shots a game, but his ice time has dipped to even around the 15-minute mark. So somebody's looking at these statistics for the season for DeBrincat. The name is there. He's playing with Larkin at a lot of different points. Larkin and Lucas Raymond are both having crazy good seasons. DeBrincat could still easily finish at above a point per game without a doubt because of how much that line can just fill the net. But right now he's not playing up to it. He's struggled of late, and I would move him while these numbers still reflect a point per game player, just in case in 2 weeks it no longer does.
Love to hear it, Aiden. One thing we didn't touch on that I hadn't noticed at all. Six of the total 15 players who have been confirmed to be on Team Canada's Olympic reserve list are out. Did you know this?
Uh-huh.
Connor Bedard, Sam Bennett, Wyatt Johnston, Mark Scheifele, Seth Jarvis, and Travis Konechny. That's only forwards.
There'll be some D. You gotta assume. I think Schaefer was one of the ones that were
Apparently, there's
new.
15 players on the reserve list.
Yeah.
You're not going to end up with 15 players going, but I mean, that's interesting. Definitely interesting. Aiden, shows and movies. Where are we? What have
Yeah,
you
a
seen since
few.
we last talk?
I really like Seth MacFarlane, man. Like
Oh, yeah.
his comedy gets me. I'm a big fan. Um, I hated Ted 2.
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane's Ted 2. I really enjoyed the first one, and I'm really enjoying this TV show. I think this
Yes.
I think this should have been the sequel from the outset. Doing a follow-up movie just butchered what the first movie had done. But this TV show so far is the perfect brand of Seth MacFarlane humor with a character and a dynamic that's very
Dude, it
enjoyable.
is so funny. Is a second
Yeah,
season coming of that?
I think we're gonna get one. It's not out yet. But it feels like an 80s sitcom too, right? Like it's fun all around. I'm enjoying it. What about you, man?
Second season scheduled to premiere Thursday, March 5th.
There you go. Right after the Olympics. Something to
Yeah.
watch.
Love it. Love it. What have I been watching? Well, I am really excited to watch next week, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. That's another Game of Thrones prequel. It's the story very closely mirrors A Knight's Tale starring Heath Ledger. It's kind of just a common man, small folk kind of person who he's an unofficial squire to an elderly knight. That knight passes away. He ends up participating in the tourney on that knight's behalf and ends up a bigger man for it. And you kind of love those champion of the people stories, the true underdog. So this is one I've been looking forward to quite a bit more. And for those who don't really like all of the I don't know, all of the political stuff and the big crazy dragons and everything in those Game of Thrones shows, this is not that. This is small folk. This is knights tourneys. It's not all of the bureaucracy that comes with everything there. It's it should be a hell of a lot more fun for the common viewer. And there are a couple people I know who don't watch any of the shows in that franchise who are excited for it. So even if you're not a fan of Game of Thrones, of House of the Dragon, give this one a go. It should be a lot of fun. Premieres on HBO next Sunday. What have I been watching in the meantime? I think I touched on it last pod. I've been in a state of finishing things that I've left unfinished. So right now, I have, I think, 2 episodes left of season 2 of Andor, which is a really solid show. It adds a lot of darker themes to Star Wars um, in an era where Star Wars is owned by Disney and kind of avoids those darker things. It's kind of a breath of fresh air. You get a lot of grittiness that I never would have expected to see in any era of Star Wars ownership. And um, again, it's similar to what I was just saying about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, that Game of Thrones show. You don't really need to be into Star Wars whatsoever to watch this show. It's it's espionage, it's careful planning of rebellion and insurrection. It's the stakes on the line when people are taking these risks. It's the people sacrificed along the way, and I find that really interesting. I like when you can feel the stakes. I like when you can see and understand the emotion behind it all. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm going to be watching next other than that. There are a lot of shows kind of in the mix for me. I've been thinking West Wing. I've been thinking Deadwood. I've been thinking Twin Peaks. Right now, I'm leaning towards Twin Peaks. So, I mean, if you've watched any of those and you think one of those is one of the ones I should watch next, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah, I also just want to thank again any new listeners we've added in the last little while. It's great to have you on board. Aiden, do you have anything else for us, fella?
I want to do Q&As. You guys fell off on sending in questions. So if you're listening, look at our Instagram story this week because I want to throw out a Q&A and have some good questions for me and James to go over our next pod. That will be post wisdom teeth surgery for James. So good luck with that.
Oh yeah, I'm getting a couple teeth yanked tomorrow, so you'll be listening to this episode on Tuesday, January 13th, and I will be in the chair getting teeth ripped out, and I'll be recovering and staring at a TV and surviving on only liquids for a handful of days. So, you guys enjoy listening. I'll enjoy recovering, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Without further ado, let's roll that outro. Thanks, guys.